The Brown Pundits
Hello.
Browncast.
So today we have with us Anand Kadali, and he's the Executive Secretary of the Sri Satya Sai Annapurna Trust, that is known for its fantastic work across 17 states and 3 union territories of India, where they primarily deal with the issue of hunger and they provide breakfast meals. Currently, they've served up to uh, 500,000 meals. Am I right, Anand?
Yeah, 500,000 children are being served morning nutrition.
Great. Thank you for taking out the time to do this. Just for the audience, could you tell us a bit about the trust and your role at the trust?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much to the team of Brown Pundits to consider the unique story which we cover. And we've been doing it since last 9 years. Just to brief a bit about myself, I've been kind of associated with the Satyasai group of Seva organizations since my early age. And we were part of taking initiatives towards helping the needy families as a part of our social activity. And it so happened that while we continue doing our professional work, we used to always follow our guru's teachings, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba's teachings, to love all, serve all, and also help ever, hurt never, and to an extent, wherever possible, try to serve the needy. And we've been kind of so imbibed with the teachings. So whenever we get time, especially during the Sundays, we participate in doing this social initiatives to serve, provide them some food, or kind of provide some hospitalization expenses, or taking care of them in the hospitals for any of their needs, and also providing clothes, going to villages and doing Grama Seva. So all these things became a part of my personal journey. And while I was working for a corporate giant in Bangalore, so we friends together came forward to do something unique which can help the school going children. And that's how we started this initiative called the Morning Nutrition Program for rural school going children, with all the support from the many friends which we had. And with that initiation, we did this program in 2012. We started in a small way in a rural village, and that's how it all began. This is about 20 kilometers away from where I stay. It's near the South Bangalore Mysore Road village where we have identified, and we spoke to the panchayat officials, took the relevant permissions, and started providing the morning nutrition. So that's how it all began in a small way.
I mean, it's very wonderful to hear that the entire focus is to love all and provide to all. I think what I'm interested to know is that the government already does the midday meal. Where does this fall in within the nutrition needs of children? And I mean, how does it tackle the problem of hunger?
Very valid question. In fact, that was my next point to also tell you that why exactly do we need to do this morning nutrition program? Uh, See, most of us, when we go to office work, just before office work, we definitely have our breakfast and go. The reason being is that if you don't have the breakfast naturally at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, we feel a bit hungry because we didn't have anything in the morning. Because you can assume that after your last night meal, which is at about 9 o'clock, then you have to keep yourself without anything inside for the next 16 hours, which means the next meal for you is in the morning at about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So you can assume 12 to 13 hours of nothing is there in your stomach. So naturally, energy is needed for the body to re energize and cooperate. So that's how we have our breakfast and we go to our office hale and healthy, active. That's the perspective from a working professional like me. But if you go back and see many of these children, especially from rural backgrounds, they do not have a definition as such, like they should have something in the breakfast. They should have something like a breakfast in the morning. Uh, Many of these rural children definitely come from below poverty backgrounds. So all they know is to have the midday meals, which comes in the afternoon at 12 o'clock to the school. But unfortunately, when there is no breakfast for them, naturally they'll have poor health conditions. Their academic performance will be definitely low, and in many cases, there are higher dropouts because somewhere at the home there are a lot of financial constraints which they might be experiencing. So, considering all these things, it is very unique to tell you that we started this program as an experiment to see if this will really run through. Like what you have asked me, when there's a midday meals program, why should we do this breakfast? But when we started this program, we could see the entire uh, children from that particular school came on time. That was the biggest advantage, because children coming on time to school, punctuality maintenance was generally not available during those times. They were not on time to the school. But the moment you provide this breakfast, you find them coming on time. That was the first important thing. And the teachers were surprised to see how these children are coming even before the teachers can come. Then, naturally, when you're giving a good breakfast, the health condition of the child increases, the academic performance increases, and the chances to complete the schooling also increases. And once you complete your schooling, you become a definite productive member to the society in the future. So it will also help in a long way for the child in making a good living by after studying well. So there are a lot of advantages which we have identified. We have researched it. We have taken feedbacks from the teachers, and teachers also understood that many of them have not actually realized that breakfast has such a very big impact in a child's growth. And that's how it became very unique to ourselves to continue doing this program. Why I say unique is because most of us spend our time in doing an afternoon meal program to the needy, or the evening dinner program for the needy. But maybe we could not focus more on the school going children, especially when they go to school in the morning, because teachers have expressed that whenever they come to the school, they know that some of them did not have breakfast, and somehow unfortunately they have to teach to empty stomachs. Now what has happened is, with this whole initiative, children are being kind of provided breakfast, and psychologically teachers are also extremely happy that the child had something, and now the teacher can actually focus on his or her profession, which is to kind of teach well so that they can understand. And extremely active concentration was there once the children had their breakfast. So these kind of feedbacks helped us to make this program as a very unique thing, and make it a part of the school itinerary as well. And slowly we started expanding it to few other nearby villages, and that's how we are today. We are serving for close to 6,000 government schools across 17 states. And long story short, it has been a very enduring effect on many volunteers like us. We were also very happy because just before we could start to office, we were able to do something good for the child, and just not on a weekly basis, it's on a daily basis. Visit the school, serve the breakfast, have your own breakfast over there, and then from there you go to your office and you continue your day. So it's a good beginning to the day as well.
That, I mean, it does sound really fantastic that you're looking at increasing educational outcomes and just the general well-being of the child with a single meal a day. So how do you hit scale, Anand? Considering that it seems like it's a very volunteer-driven model as well as tying up with government schools. In terms of process, how did you move from a small one village to so many numbers?
See, I can compare this with a simple analogy where, if assuming that, that just like you and me, by the end of the month, we go to stores and we pick up all the food grains which are required for the next month. And then, we get those items to our home and we prepare the food which is required for us for the next 1 month. So a similar model was actually kind of thought of. What we thought is we will give a complete 1 month ration for that particular school, and we will give it to the cook who is in which was preparing the midday meals for the children. The midday meals cook who is preparing for the village children, she takes the ownership of preparing the morning breakfast also. So we have various menus. We speak to the teachers and we speak to the children, and based on their local palate, based on their local tastes, we provide various menu items. Every day, one different item. One day it could be a rice bath. Second day it could be chapati. Third day it is like another rice item. Fourth day khichdi. Fifth day upma. Sixth day dosa. So what happens is you bring in variety into the whole breakfast program, and children love getting that kind of good breakfast before they attend to the classes. So with respect to the scale at which we were able to achieve in a short span, the focus was more on trying to get more stakeholders join us. So in our case, it was just not volunteers who are the larger stakeholders, but on the other side, we had the cooks from the local village communities. We also had the support from the village heads. We also got the support from the teachers, and we also had the kitchen infrastructure in place. We didn't want to invest on getting large mega kitchens built up, but use the infrastructure in place at the schools. With all these available for us, it was easy for us to start at many other schools as well. So all we had to do was just give this 1 month ration, dry ration to the schools, good quality dry ration items, and also provide a bit of honorarium to the cooks who are preparing the breakfast for the children. And that's how, when we started in 2012, the first 2 years, we took a lot of time to understand, how does the whole process work? What are the norms? What are the pros and cons? How do we talk to the villagers? How do we talk to the village community to come and join us? So 2 years of learning helped us to kind of formally establish ourselves in 2015, and we kind of started expanding our program by forming a trust. The trust was formed in 2015. It's under the divine guidance of Satya Sai Baba. We called it as Sri Satya Sai Annapurna Trust, and we have been kind of expanding our program from the governments of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Puducherry, Andhra Pradesh, and now we are slowly moving towards the northern parts of India as well. So that way, if you see the first 3 years of whatever we experienced by doing in only 3 to 4 schools, helped us to scale it at a faster pace from 2015 onwards. 2015, we ended up doing for 120 schools, and 2016 we crossed doing for 300 schools. Then 2017 we added another 300 schools. So we continued getting the right support from the local volunteers, teachers, and also the local government officials. And as we speak today, we have touched about 6,000 schools across 17 states and 3 union territories.
That's phenomenal. But how are you dealing with all of this in COVID? Because if a lot of it of the work that's being done relies on the children coming to school, how did you manage during the lockdown, and now that the distribution systems have been really affected because of mobility?
Yeah, one thing which I would say is that COVID as such has put our services on halt, because children are not coming to school. Schools are not open till the time the government gives an official note when to open the schools. So, but the good part is because of our logistics mechanism we have in place, because we have a nominated volunteer who is in charge of a particular school in a particular village. So, and we are any which ways in touch through technology. We use Zoom calls, we use WhatsApp, we get to know the updates from our team members. And nowadays everything is online, you know. So what we did is very uniquely, every village we have identified, children and their families who are affected, whose livelihoods are affected. And we picked up every school, a set of 3 to 4 families or 10 families. Then what we did is we provided the 1 month ration item. Every month we are doing this till the time the schools start again. So here the beneficiary earlier was only the child, but post the lockdown, we have also started, kind of supporting the family as well. And till date, we supported providing this dry ration kits and also sanitizers, masks, all the necessary equipment needed to keep yourself clean to over 50,000 deserving families. And we still get requests coming to our website. People ping on our website and they put their request. And with that request, we immediately respond by providing the necessary items. And the good part is that we engage with the local business dry ration provider, basically the general stores which is there in that village community itself. We talk to them, and they will kind of bill it to Annapurna Trust, and we make the payment online. Once the payment is done online, the village head picks up the food grains, packed food grains, and he hands it over to the families. And that's how we have been kind of taking up, working with many of the families even during these tough situations.
It's great to know that, I mean, those many people are not going hungry because the trust is working towards it. So, how do you see the organization moving forward? Because you started off with nutrition and you've moved into other aspects, and now the beneficiaries have moved from children to their families. I mean, are you looking at creating a new kind of model that targets all the issues of an entire community? Because you also provide safe drinking water and training. So, what's the plan?
See, actually, our intent was always to address, holistically the requirements of a village. So, breakfast program is just a small part of the overall planning which we had. So, what we have focused on is nutrition, education, healthcare, water, and sanitation. So, whichever school we went, we just started with this simple breakfast program to get the buy-in from the teachers, local village community heads, and the families and the children. So naturally, it's a process. It takes at least a year's time to settle yourself in a village, and government is also supporting the villages with the various schemes. However, said and done, there are certain aspects which, wherever there are gaps, which we can fill up, we are trying to fill it up. For example, it could be in a school where a child kind of is not keeping well very often, or a set of children do not have proper eyesight or whatever. So what we did is we brought in doctors to screen the children, and then they identify children who are having some issues, and we provide spectacles to the children. We provide clean drinking water, water purifiers in the schools, and then we also ensure the bathrooms which the children use are clean and tidy. We pay some extra money to the local ayahs who actually take care of the bathrooms, etc., so that they do not get any disease as such by kind of using those toilets. So likewise, if you see, a model itself is created in the school first to start with, and then slowly, naturally you find the parents coming and approaching us, and they also have certain challenges, some issues with their health. So we extend the health services to the village as well, and then we also provide clean drinking water wherever it is needed. Some of the villages are very high arid places with water contaminated with fluoride, etc. So what we understood is we can probably set up a drinking water plant, and we have invested ourselves setting up large drinking water plants, which will help the village together. So till date, we have set up close to 25 drinking water plants in this Chigbalapur district itself, which is helping many of them have proper drinking water. So one leading to other. First was healthcare, and then it led to water, and then sanitation, and finally education as well. Because since we are trying to address the need of many of these children, we also get to know the kind of educational sponsorship which we can do for them sometime later. So we know from the teachers that a set of children are good at studies. So if we can sponsor their education, it would be nice. And that's how we bring in, some sort of support for the child, and also provide some skill sets training for children who are not that good in the studies, but they are good at some sort of machinery learning, or could be some tools learning, some carpentry, some electrical related study, etc. So we invest in giving them the training and show them the livelihood later on. So as I told you again, a holistic approach is what we take for our programs. Don't confine ourselves to nutrition. We take up nutrition as a start, but we end up doing other parts as we progress. And end of the day, what happens is the village gets connected to us in a larger way, and that's how the families also get connected to us in a larger way. And we definitely know, if I go to a particular village, I know who are those needy families who need our support, and that's how we continue doing our work.
Thank you. I mean, it's fascinating to see how the you started off with something essential and then moving across the community. But when you did start off with it, Anand, did you or experience or have you heard stories of where caste has created a hindrance in the program reaching its potential? Because food and caste are greatly intertwined um, in India, and how has that, and if it has, how has it affected any kind of programming?
Actually speaking, not really. We didn't find any challenges over there. Let me give you a perspective. If a school had about 100 children, and the breakfast program is kind of very much organizedly done, where the children who are having breakfast at home, the individuals have breakfast and come to the school. Okay, the children who generally do not tend to have any breakfast at home, they come to school with an empty stomach. So let's say if there are 100 children and there are 40 to 50 children who do not have breakfast and come to school, what we do is we prepare for 60 children. So what happens when you prepare for 60 children, though we have calculated for only 40 or 45, the other 15 is generally there's a tendency that even if a child had a breakfast at home, he still wants to come and just be with his friends and wants to have breakfast with them as well. So we understand the emotions of the children, and we just go with the flow, and we provide the breakfast for them. We don't generally differentiate you individuals had breakfast, so you're not supposed to have over here. So that is not our concept. And we anyways come to know the number from the teachers. And the other part is that teachers themselves have the breakfast at the school. That is also helping them a lot in saving their time for cooking at home and then coming over here. So, but otherwise, we never found a differentiation factor as such. If we think that villages are still like that, I would say no. I would say definitely no in schools at least, because schools are one places where everybody is common, and they have been kind of taught the right lessons, and the teachers are even more kind of very conducive to giving them that empathy and love, and taking the extra responsibility to take care of a child's nutrition also, just not the education. So I don't think so we had faced any such challenges uh, from the execution standpoint.
And do you think it would have been different if a lot more of your work was targeting the urban poor rather than rural parts? Or do you think there wouldn't be
Uh,
change based on your experiences?
It's a valid, as I told you earlier that I was earlier staying in Bangalore for 15 years before moving to a place like Chigbalapur, which is still not a city which we can talk about as a grown-up city or whatever. So it's like you have the basic amenities over here, uh, and you can continue living over here. So the natural question is, why did you shift to Chikbalapur? See, our goal was always to address the need of the children who desperately need some support for their, uh, you know, daily lives. For example, many of these children from rural villages are the ones who do not have the right nutrition in their bodies, and the health posture of these children is very much not at par with what is expected. If you go towards the North Karnataka belt, the malnutrition is even more higher on a higher side. So we always had this goal that let's not look at urban poor, because for some reason or the other, yes, urban poor also needs to be addressed. But if you take a geography of 100 people in a urban poor place, and there are, let's say, 20 or 30 children who are deserving. Whereas if you go to the rural poor, out of 100, there are 70 to 80 who are deserving. So the concentrated level of deservedness is more towards rural, and that's the reason why we wanted to focus more on the rural side. And that is one. Second is we are not dealing just with the nutrition as such, right? There is a water need which we also are planning to look at, and while you might get a good drinking water in a urban place, whereas in rural, still people still continue drinking the well water. Only thing which we are making a change is that ensure the well water is kind of boiled. A bit of cleanliness aspect, if you don't tell the children, then they will end up getting some diseases or whatever. So understanding the health hygiene as a critical element for a child, understanding that bringing in that aspect into the child's mind at a very young age is what our motto was. And you find this mostly lagging in the rural setup than the urban setup. So that helps us to put our extra efforts towards the rural communities. And if you go back and see our websites, focus is also on rural uplift and transformation. And that's the reason why we have driven ourselves towards these rural villages. I sit in Chigbalapur, but being in Chigbalapur, there are close to 1,500 schools, government schools in this district. So it gives me much responsibility or much accessibility to all these schools by sitting myself in Chigbalapur rather than being in Bangalore, because the kind of travel which I need to do to and fro will be too high. And moreover, by being in the village and really being in the village communities, you understand them much better, because you also go through the same challenges, and you can address it just for not for yourself but also for the village.
That's great. So, if anybody who's listening to this podcast wants to contribute to the trust or be involved in some way, what would you like to say to them?
See, one thing which we were very clear in our narrative to many of the people, that the breakfast program which we do, or the village transformation program, or the village improvement program which we do, these are all some sort of inert responsibilities of many of us who are working for various corporate companies or making a living in an urban setup. So it's more to do with the people's movement, where we wanted more people to come and join us in this effort. So that's the message which we have for people who are listening. It's not about we are serving this breakfast for this child, and this is the cost of the breakfast for the child, and here are the bank account details, and we wish you to join and get the child's yearly breakfast. uh, we would we would we would rather take that as the second or the third item in our list of priorities. But the first priority has always been definitely to see if they can help us in this whole initiative. Now you might ask us, how can I help you in this initiative? Because I have a living, I have to go to office, I need to work over there. I may not be able to spend time just like how you people are doing. But I would say it's not that we have to take away our time. We need maybe in a week 1 or 2 hours of your time, and that's also in the morning time. Which is definitely an available time for most of us. Any time between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. We can definitely make some time to uh, take up some initiative. That is number one. Now, the second is we are not asking a set of volunteers who want to join us to come and participate wherever we have our centers. That is not the idea. If wherever you're staying, let's say if you're staying in Bangalore and if you're staying in a place like a Sarjapur, and from there, maybe if you can just do a bit of uh, research, you will definitely find 1 or 2 government schools near to Sarjapur. Now, in that place, you can go and visit the teacher and speak to the teacher and understand if the children are coming with a proper nutrition, or if they need any drinking water facility or some sanitation needs, etc. So all you need to do is do that one exercise in the first. And then if you know there is a need over there, you can approach Annapurna Trust. I mean, Annapurna Trust will definitely support financially. So you can approach and you can tell us, hey, Annapurna team, I visited this particular school and there's a need over here. Would you help us taking up this? We are welcome to such kind of people who would love and who would love taking these initiatives. And if you are saying you need financial support, yeah, Annapurna Trust will come forward to take the give the financial support as well. So, opportunities are galore. We have so many opportunities available for us. It's just that, our narrative has never been to ask for funds, donations. Definitely not. We always want to see to it that people come and join hands and do something good for the society. But again, having said that, sometimes people may not get time. People say, I am very inspired with the group of people who are doing this work. We're close to 700 volunteers we have in our system. A lot of corporate companies have joined our hands with us. There are many of these volunteers working for large MNCs. So they could not take some time to come up and serve the children, or take part in any of these initiatives. Yes, of course, then they come back and say we would love contributing something, and then we have our website, and people can go over there. They can, whatever makes convenient for them, they can take up the right action and come forward to help us. So messaging is very clear: join us as a team together and try to help our society.
Thank you, Anand. This has been a wonderful conversation. Just for anybody who's listening in, you can type annapurna.org.in for the website and you'll find more details. And you can write to Anand or anybody else on the official email ID. And as he said, they're looking for as many people to come and join to make this world a better place. Thank you for your time, Anand, and we hope that you expand to even more states and provide holistic upliftment for even more people.
Thank you very much, and I'm very honored to be a part of this wonderful conversation, and I look forward to guidance, any feedbacks from your team as well. We are always ready to take such feedbacks from you. Appreciate and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Tune in next week for Brown